Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we are going to be looking at the 2022 gubernatorial elections for the first time officially, because YPMS.com did finally decide to add the map, so thank you to this website for adding the map. We can now start our forecasting for the 2022 gubernatorial elections and not a moment too soon. So, before we get started, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I check my YouTube studio statistics, and only like a third of you who watch my videos consistently are subscribed. So if you could subscribe, get me to 5,000, that would be really amazing. Of course, I appreciate all your support. 5,000 is our next big milestone. So let's get started with the safe states. Now, California, Gavin Newsom, obviously not the most popular figure in California, but he's still like, it's a state that voted for Biden by like 33%. Uh, and he's gained some popularity back. He kind of hit a low point in like November, December, but he's kind of gaining popularity back now as a Californian because of his distribution of COVID-19 vaccines and his stimulus package that went through the California State Senate, I think a month ago or something. So he is quite frankly not very worried about him losing re-election, and I don't even know why the Republican Party is running ads. Like I see ads, it's like I'm Cory Booker, donate to stop the recall effort against Gavin Newsom. I don't know why they're worried. They should not be worried at all. Hawaii, even though David Ige is pretty unpopular, it's still a Democratic state. The best, honestly, the best case scenario for Republicans here is if Tulsi Gabbard primaries David Ige because she's kind of a Republican. She's very unknown. She's kind of kind of like an enigma. So yeah, Colorado with Jared Polis probably gonna be safe there. Uh, I think New Mexico as well will actually be safe with Michelle Lujan. Actually, no, I'm not going to say that. But you know what? Like I said earlier, I don't want to ruffle any feathers too early on, so I'm just going to put these as likely deep, but they're pretty close to being safe. I'm actually not going to put Illinois as safe. I think Maryland could be safe, but for now, since Hogan's the incumbent, now Hogan can't run again, but I'll put it. But I'm not going to characterize that just yet. Phil Murphy should win pretty easily next year. Uh, Cuomo in New York, even if he's the nominee, which I don't think he will, I think he's going to lose a primary if he does even decide to run again. He'd still win it by like 15. Now maybe not like 30, but he'd win it by 15. Connecticut, I'm going to say would be safe because Ned Lamont. Actually, Lamont's gaining popularity back, but these states are kind of tricky because he only won by like 3 or 4 in 2018, which is a Democratic wave, to be fair. Um, so I think that's actually going to be it for our safe Democratic states right now. Now for the safe Republican states, we have the obvious ones: Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota. Kristi Noem. There's a lot of people saying that Kristi Noem, she's only gotten more popular since 2018. She could like win by only 3 or 4. I doubt that. She went against a really good opponent who probably isn't going to run again. And that was in the Democratic wave. And South Dakota did, South Dakota voted like 14 or 15% to the right of the country in the gubernatorial election, and that happens again in a neutralish environment. It's safe for Noam, and I just think that the country is going to be more polarized in 2022 than it was in 2018. So I think Noam's going to win by upwards of 20, to be completely honest. Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina. No, I'm not going to say that just yet. And yeah, I think that'll be my safe Republican states. Now, Oregon, Kate Brown, not a very popular figure. She's actually quite unpopular, but she's still probably going to win at the end of the day by a likely margin. She did win, actually. She only won by like 6 or 7 in 2018 against Newt Bueller, who was a pretty good candidate. I mean, he was pretty moderate liberal Republican, but either way, Oregon should be staying Democratic in all likelihood, barring something unforeseen happening. Minnesota, I think, and Illinois are both likely to, because in Minnesota, Walz is eligible to run for re-election. He's pretty popular. He'll probably win by a Biden-type margin there. And then as for Illinois, we have, J.B. Pritzker, who's actually gained popularity, but for right now, because Adam Kinzinger might run, he's kind of a more moderate Republican who has appealed to the suburbs and can make inroads in Chicago. So I'll put it as likely right now, but it could easily fall into the safe category. I don't really know. I think Maryland and Virginia both likely. Maryland would otherwise be safe, and it could very well be a safe margin. But since this is technically a Republican-held seat, even though Hogan's not going to run again, put it as likely. But I think all of us know that Maryland should flip. Virginia, just a likely Democratic state. Terry McAuliffe against Jennifer Carroll Foy. That'll be an interesting primary to see. So that's going to be tough to predict that. But I think T Mac's probably going to win the primary and probably going to definitely win the general election. Whoever wins the Democratic primary in a state as blue as Virginia. Connecticut and Rhode Island both likely. I think Connecticut's going to vote to the left of Rhode Island in this election. I think Lamont is popular enough to win by a bigger margin than 2018, despite obviously 2022 probably not going to be as good of a year for Democrats as 2018 was. Rhode Island, this is just a seat where the governor hasn't been elected before and probably just going to win by a 9 to 10 point margin. So I think that's it. I do think, actually, I should put Massachusetts and Vermont as safe Republican. I don't know why I didn't do that for Baker and Scott, assuming they run for re-election, which they probably will. They were both went by safe. Baker's more in danger than Scott is, but either way, should probably win by 10 to 20 points. I'll put it as safe right now. Sununu, I think he's going to run for Senate, so I think that's a takeout for Democrats right now. That's a lean D seat. Although I think we should go to our likely main likely Democratic, but I think now it's important we go to our likely Republican seats. First of all, starting with Alaska, where we have Mike Dunleavy, who was actually I think 15,000 Alaskans signed a petition to recall Dunleavy. It may not sound like a lot, but that's a lot of people in Alaska, and Alaska is trending to the left pretty quickly. And it's a state that is going to be very interesting to see how it votes in 8 to 10 years from now. But as of right now, Alaska is still pretty Republican, so I wouldn't bet on it flipping. Now, Kansas, this is going to be our first Republican pickup in this prediction. And I think Kansas, Laura Kelly's in trouble here. This isn't really anything self-inflicted. She won in a blue wave by 5% against a very unpopular opponent. She ran a good campaign, and for that I give her credit. But assuming Chris Kobach doesn't get the nomination again, she's probably gonna lose in a polarized environment where a lot of Kansans still like her because of her handling of COVID and her education stances that are pretty popular. And actually she's a pretty bipartisan governor. She worked with the Republican-controlled state legislature to expand Obamacare in Kansas, to expand Medicare, Medicaid. So she's a pretty bipartisan figure, and that's why I think she's not dead. I worded that poorly, but she's not completely. She's not completely done, I guess. But it's unlikely that she wins re-election right now because the Republican Party is probably going to run someone who's popular enough to just have this undecided. The Republicans who held their nose went for Kelly in 2018 are probably going to go against her in 2022. So I think she'll lose by 5 or 6. And then Texas as well. Greg Abbott's not as popular as he was in 2018, but he should still win by 10. DeSantis in Florida. Talk about him a lot on this channel. He's a pretty popular governor. He should win re-election by, I think he's win by just over 5. South Carolina with Henry McMaster. Even there's been talk about Joe Cunningham running for governor. He's a good candidate. I mean, he won in a Trump district in 2018, so he could make this race single digits. But right now, I'll just have it as R plus 10. So yeah, and also I'm also going to put Iowa and Ohio as likely Republican at this point in time, and I think this is because Iowa Kim Reynolds is not really disliked by the Trump base. She hasn't, obviously she came from a state that Trump won, which is definitely helping her. But so she didn't really have to have that controversy. But she might not get the Trump turnout in the rural part of the state, but she'll do better in the suburbs at least, and she will probably win by 6 or 7. In Ohio, we have Mike Dewine, probably going to win re-election by a good amount. Dewine is kind of a dislike by Trump. He'll probably get primary. He's a more moderate Republican, so I wouldn't bet on him not getting primary, but he's probably going to win the primary and probably going to win the general by around 5. Now moving on to our lean states, we have quite a few of these. We have Nevada, which at this point in time is a state where the Nevada Democratic Party, or where the Democratic Party is not looking good right now, but the Judith Whitmer, who was just elected the chair of the Nevada Democratic Party, she was the chair of the Clark County Democrats, so don't get why everyone's freaking out about that. But just thought I'd bring that up. I've mentioned this I probably have to mention this for the next 3 months every time I talk about Nevada, because everyone everyone's taking this. They're taking this way too seriously. It's a party chair. She can't even change that much fundamentally. So yeah, but Nevada, lean D as it should be. Michigan as well as Pennsylvania, lean D as well. Gretchen Whitmer's probably going to win re-election by more than whoever the Democrats run in Pennsylvania. Probably going to be Josh Shapiro. But Whitmer, pretty popular figure in Michigan, she'll do well enough in the suburbs and make inroads on Biden's performance with the working class, especially in places like Macomb County and exurban Oakland County. Now, Oakland is more of a suburban county, but the more exurban parts towards I'm forgetting the name of the peninsula, but the more exurban parts up here are going to probably be more favorable to Whitmer than they were to Biden. So for that, I think she'll outrun Biden by around a point. Pennsylvania, probably going to see a 2-point Democratic victory here. Josh Shapiro, the Attorney General who won by 5 last November, probably going to run for governor to replace Tom Wolf, who is term limited. So I think Pennsylvania should stay in Democratic hands. Now, this could change, of course, very early prediction, but when you have these seats that are held by incumbents, you have to put them as lean for whatever the party is even if it's an open seat. It's the reason why Maryland isn't safety, the reason why Kansas isn't safe Republican, and the reason why Pennsylvania isn't a toss-up. So, yeah. Now, these are the true toss-up seats, and I would have had Georgia as lean D before the voting bill was passed, and I think people are overestimating the impact that's going to have. There are people on the left who are saying, it's going to enrage black voters to turn out like we've never seen before. I don't think that's going to be the case. But there are also people on the right who say that it's going to make essentially no black voters turn out. I think that's racist. You shouldn't say that. And B, the case here is it's the Georgia Democratic Party for the past 4 years, right, since 2018 really, has been very good at getting voters to turn out. And, people act like Georgia was like a super free and fair voting state before this. No, there was still a lot of restrictions, and there are going to be more, which is obviously not going to be helpful for the Georgia Democratic Party, but, the restrictions on voting are still probably going to be, in the end, not as big of a factor as people think right now, because it happened recently and since nothing else is going on. So Georgia, right now, tilt D, but obviously Brian Kemp could hold on. But, on an actual elections note, not just speculation note, Stacey Abrams ran a good campaign in 2018. She'll probably learn from her mistakes then, run an even better campaign in 2020. And, really, Brian Kemp has lost all his popularity with Trump voters because they helped him win re-election in 2018. If a couple fewer Trump voters hadn't turned out, Kemp would have lost this election. So just thought I'd put that out there. And now he's pretty unpopular with the Trump base for kind of refusing to overturn the election results in the state of Georgia. And for that reason, I think that they're not going to turn out for him. So for right now, it'll probably get primaried, by the way. So for right now, Georgia tilt D. Moving on to Arizona, I think Arizona is going to be tilt D as well. And to give the Democrats the majority here, I think Wisconsin tilt D. Tony Evers probably is going to hold on. Being completely realistic here, he is a pretty popular figure. He's received praise for because I think Wisconsin leads as a percentage of the nation in COVID-19 vaccine distribution, and I think he can really run on his handling of COVID and win. Especially the Republicans don't really have anyone to run here, to be completely honest. So I think Wisconsin should be tilt D for now. But of course, the Republicans could win. I'm not saying that they're not going to, but for right now, you got to go with the incumbent. And in Arizona, we are taking a look at a state where there is a Republican incumbent, but it's a state that Joe Biden won. There's not a single state that Donald Trump won that I'm putting or that I'm having the Democrats win in. So just thought I'd bring that up. Now, the Republicans, I have them winning in some Biden states like Massachusetts and Vermont and New Hampshire if Sununu runs for re-election as governor, but I don't think he will. He'll probably run for Senate, which I have as lean D. But Arizona, going back to Arizona, I think this is a state where this is one of the only states where you have an incumbent who's obviously not running for re-election, but where it's favored to flip, because the Arizona Republican Party, first of all, is in shambles. They just reelected their chair, Kelly Ward, who was notoriously bad for losing elections. I mean, 4 years ago, Arizona had in Congress a majority Republican delegation and 2 Republican senators. Now it's a majority Democratic delegation and 2 Democratic senators, being Mark Kelly and Kirsten Sinema. So, first of all, Hispanics are probably going to be more favorable to Democrats in 2022 than they were in 2020, which is going to impact the South. And then in the Phoenix suburbs, it's not getting any better for Republicans. No matter who they run, it's probably going to be a bloodbath for them there. So they're going to have to make up serious ground in these more northern exurban Phoenix areas, which I don't think that they're going to be able to do. So they're probably going to lose this race by 1%, no matter who they run, unless they run a better candidate who is not coming to mind right now for me. So that's my final, well, not my final, but this is my map for the 2022 gubernatorial elections as of March 30th. I think it's almost April. I can't believe that. But if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.